What's going on, Crimson Tide fans? Chris Daughtry here with the Alabama Football Report. Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk a report that dropped this morning from USA Today regarding some transfer portal rumors out there from a specific quarterback that I know a lot of you guys probably would not want Alabama to bring in. So we're going to talk about that on the top of today's show. And then on the back half of today's show, I want to talk about a potential 2025 recruiting class hidden gem that Alabama might have gotten in their most recent recruiting class. But because we're going to be talking about quarterbacks here at the top of today's show, what is your confidence level in Alabama's quarterback room heading into the 2025 season? Go ahead and scale it for me in the comment section, 1 on the low end or 10 on the high end. All right, first up on today's show, USA Today dropped a pretty wild article today about Carson Beck getting interest from Alabama out of the transfer portal. Now, we're going to talk about all the different kinds of sides to this, but I just, when I first saw this, I was like, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense considering what you've heard from the coaching staff about how excited they are for the 3 quarterbacks that they already have in their quarterback room right now. Before we get into all that, though, I do want to just real quick touch on exactly what USA Today said. It was by Matt Haynes of USA Today about the interest from Alabama. He said a person close to Carson Beck's decision-making told USA Today Sports that not only was Georgia at the front of the line for Carson Beck, but SEC heavyweight Alabama was the next to call. Now, first up, it just didn't really make any sense with me. I really like what you have in the quarterback room. You've got a former 5-star quarterback in Ty Simpson. You've got the current number 2 player overall in the 2025 recruiting class in Keelon Russell coming in. And you also have Austin Mack, who reclassified a couple years ago, and joined that Washington team when he was only 17 years old, and he ended up taking a redshirt season then. So he's now going into his 3rd season, only 18 years old. He's got a lot of high upside. I think all 3 of these quarterbacks have a lot of high upside for Alabama. And look, one of the first things I thought of as well was I was like, look, okay, kind of slow the roll down a little bit. They have brought multiple guys in from the transfer portal during this, transfer portal window, and those guys left without offers. So I was like, maybe they just kind of wanted to gauge the interest, and see if he would be somebody that would be willing to come in and compete, but not necessarily be a starting quarterback for Alabama next season. Maybe if he ended up winning the job, but originally I was like, maybe I'm not just totally going to rule it out. It is USA Today after all. And, they did have, quote unquote sources anyways. There were those unnamed sources that everybody likes to talk about. But, it didn't really, hit me as something that I was like, oh, whoa, like this is absolutely not true. Like I kind of took it with a grain of salt, but at the end of the day, I was like, look, it is USA Today. Maybe there is something to it. So let me know here at the pinned comment of today's video. We're going to be asking this question a lot here, leading up to the A-Day game and even more into next season as well, because it's the biggest position battle going into the 2025 season. Who do you want to start at quarterback? Type TS if you want Ty Simpson. Type AM if you want Austin Mack. Or is it going to be the true freshman Keelon Russell? You can go ahead and type KR at the pinned comment of today's video. Now, a couple notable Alabama beat writers really just kind of went all in on this USA Today, report. Clint Lamb, he is with Cover Crimson right now. He pretty much immediately tweeted that he did not buy this at all. And he gave 3, I thought, really good reasons why he did not buy this report from USA Today. The first one is the NIL deal that he got with Miami. He signed a $4 million NIL deal. Alabama really doesn't go that route when it comes to going in the transfer portal, dropping massive bags on guys out of the transfer portal. That's just not really how they've rolled in the past. And let's be honest, it kind of seems right now Alabama is kind of one of those cheaper teams in terms of offering those NIL deals, especially to outside guys coming in from the transfer portal. Number 2, Keelon Russell has been pretty adamant about the fact that Alabama, Kalen DeBoer, and this coaching staff have wanted him to come in and potentially be the starting quarterback for Alabama, in his words, as soon as possible. So if you're telling a guy, the number 2 player overall in this 2025 class, that, hey, we want you to come in and compete, possibly be that starting quarterback for Alabama, it just really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to go out in the transfer portal and get another guy at quarterback and bring him in and kind of just pull the rug out from under him. So that didn't really make much sense there. And also, Clint didn't say this exactly, but pretty much in short terms, the locker room dynamic. You got Ty Simpson in there that all the guys really do love. He was really best friends with Tyler Booker. And really, I think he does have the locker room right now going into, spring practice coming up here in just a couple of months. And then, into the 2025 season, bringing a guy like Carson Beck in, it just really does not make a whole lot of sense in terms of that team dynamic. I think bringing somebody like that is a quick way to really start losing the locker room. And I honestly think, we'll touch on it here a little bit later. I think that's why Jalen Milroe really was the starting quarterback for most of the way throughout the season for Alabama. And then you had BamaOnLine, probably the most credible, Alabama football report page or website out there, said that Alabama did not contact or have any interest in Carson Beck out of the transfer portal. So I'll just leave it with this. If BamaOnLine, Clint Lamb, guys like that are saying that this report is absolutely bogus, I would pretty much lean on the fact that this report is probably not very true. We'll continue a little bit with this conversation here in just a second, but today's show is presented by Game Time. The NFL playoffs are underway, and you guys can get your tickets very cheap with Game Time. I think earlier today we looked up tickets for the Kansas City Chiefs. They're like $100 or something like that. That is just absolutely outrageously low ticket prices for an NFL playoff game. Game Time has a new feature as well called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time Picks just filters out all the fluff to show you only the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best deal, whether that's concerts, comedy shows, basketball. Obviously, Alabama lost a pretty bad game to Ole Miss last night, but might end up in the long run being a quote-unquote good loss for the team, really get them kick-started more as they get into SEC play. So I do not I would not want to miss an Alabama basketball game if I had the opportunity. And guess what? Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer you get to the start of the event. Game Time has killer last-minute deals. They have all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price is guaranteed. If you find tickets in the same section or row for less, Game Time will actually credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and redeem promo code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem promo code CHATSPORTS, that's CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's video. So download Game Time today. They have last-minute tickets at the lowest prices, guaranteed. Now, I do generally wonder, what is this coaching staff's feelings about Ty Simpson right now? Everything we've heard from them is that they do like Ty Simpson. But, from a fan base's perspective, there has been a lot of conversations about, comparing him to Jalen Milroe and saying, hey, if he couldn't beat out Jalen Milroe for that starting job, maybe he's just not that good. And that's something that I mentioned earlier on in the show. I will stick with my current take of I don't really think Kalen DeBoer had much of a choice in terms of benching Jalen Milroe this year. He was one of the main figureheads on why a lot of guys did stay with Alabama after Nick Saban's retirement. They ended up naming him one of the team captains at the very beginning of the year. I'm sure he had a pretty solid NIL deal with Alabama's collective as well. So, in terms of the team dynamic as well, you end up benching that guy. That could be a very quick way to lose the locker room, especially when a lot of these guys, really were behind Jalen Milroe at the end of the day. So just because Ty Simpson wasn't the guy to start this year for Alabama or even take over at that starting quarterback position for Alabama, I'm not really ready to give up on Ty Simpson. Like, we haven't seen enough of him yet. And there's a lot of people out there saying, I just don't see it in Ty Simpson. Well, I just don't think you've really given him the opportunity to show really what he can do at that quarterback position as well as being a leader of this football team. And I also want to make this point as well. There's a lot of people that wanted Bryce Young to be the starting quarterback ahead of Mac Jones for that 2020 season, or I guess 2019 season, whatever. And that season ended up being very, very good. Alabama went on to win the national championship that year, just absolutely blowing out Ohio State. And then it worked out for Bryce Young as well. He ended up winning the Heisman the very next season. So just because you might think the grass is greener on the other side, the number 2 quarterback is always better than the starting guy, I just caution everybody to really just pump the brakes and give Ty Simpson an opportunity if you're one of those people who are already past Ty Simpson and want a guy like Austin Mack or Keelon Russell to go ahead and be the starting quarterback for Alabama next season. Because, look, I mean, no matter really who it is, I don't think anybody could be really worse than Carson Beck. Not saying he's absolutely terrible or anything like that, but there's a reason that Carson Beck came into this 2024 season as one of the top prospects for the 2025 recruiting class and is ending up having to transfer from Georgia to Miami for another season of college football. It's not because he was one of the best quarterbacks in the country this season. So let me know here in the comment section, do you buy this report that Alabama had interest in Carson Beck? Go ahead and let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Type Y for yes or N for no right now in the comment section. Next up on today's show, I want to talk about a possible hidden gem here for Alabama's 2025 recruiting class. 2026 number 2 safety overall Braylon Womack told Tom Loy of 247 Sports that London Simmons, actually his former teammate, they were there at the same high school together, might be one of those hidden gems for Alabama in their 2025 class. And this would very much so track with all the conversations and everything we've heard about Courtney Morgan and the staff being able to go out there and locate guys who might be a little bit underrated, but at the end of the day, they can turn out to be very, very good football players. This is what Braylon Womack told Tom Loy of 247 Sports. He said, first off, I'm going to praise London for a second. London was a kid who was getting offers from Samford, not Stanford, Samford. Mid-major schools and coaches were saying that they weren't looking for a guy like him. This kid would play basketball, open gym, up and down the court for 3 hours straight per day until he was where he wanted to be. He cut back on the foods. He had the dedication to change. Not many grown-ups can do that in life. I was just all over them saying that if they took a chance on him, he would not steer y'all wrong. This is a kid that y'all want. This is a hidden gem. Alabama came up, they saw him, and they absolutely loved him. Now, going back to that part about, him playing basketball 3 hours a day, 7 days a week, really does make sense when you go back and you look at, his transition from his junior season to his senior season. He lost about 60 pounds. He was about 350 going in to his senior season, and then he weighed in now his weight on 247 Sports rankings right now, or on his profile right now, is about 295. So, I mean, when you talk about that dedication, somebody that really wanted to change his body and become a better, just more agile, just better overall football player, I think London Simmons really does fit that bill. Won a state championship this year with his high school as well. 27 tackles for loss. When about a third of your total tackles are tackles for loss. That is absolutely ridiculous. No matter if it's at high school, whatever level it's at. Also had 11 and a half tackles, a couple PBUs as well. And he is one of those guys that is a little bit, or a lot of bit, a lower ranked recruit. 519 overall, according to the 247 Sports composite rankings. Number 60 defensive lineman in the country. Number 15 player from the state of Mississippi. But, when you talk about those players from the state of Mississippi, a lot of the times, they don't get noticed because it's a smaller state, and there's just not a lot of guys that come out of Mississippi a lot of times. Sure, there's some of those big top-name guys that do come out of the state of Mississippi, but I really do like London Simmons, and I really do like what he can bring to Alabama's defensive line next year. You got London Simmons coming in. You've also got Stephen Bamnua coming into that 2025 recruiting class as well. So add him to Jeremiah Beeman, Tim Keenan, James Smith, Edric Hill, Isaiah Faga. It does right now look a little bit light in terms of, that defensive tackle, depth chart right now, but I really do like what London Simmons has the possibility to bring to the table for Alabama. Make sure you guys are subscribed right here to the Alabama Football Report. We got plenty of news and rumors coming up. Just because the season ended does not mean we're going to stop doing videos for you guys, whether that's, transfer portal rumors in the spring coming up, or, if that's recruiting rumors or anything else like that out there. Do not miss out. Keep up to date on all things Alabama football related, and make sure you guys are subscribed.